I'm gonna have his stream playing quietly in the background. Okay. Can you hear it? Well, I can hear Brett speaking right now.
Yeah, we're live. So
cool.
Okay, hello there. Atheist Junior here. I'm here with Brett. We're watching Brett Keane. I'm here with Mark Stoney. And hey guys. Mark asked me, since Brett is doing this video that's called Kent Hovind versus Mark Stoney, but didn't allow Mark to come on at the same time as Kent. So Mark asked me if we could do a sort of live reaction where he can sort of debunk what is being said by Kent.
Yeah.
So let me see if I can get audio from the screen share.
All right. Let's see.
Because you should be able to hear it when I share my screen. Okay. Oh, I have them muted. Okay, so yeah, mute the stream in the background so we don't have double upped audio.
Let me find out what happened.
There we go.
All righty. Would you like me to mute the mic while you're on the phone?
So you can hear that?
It doesn't matter. I'm just asking him to come back, and my slides aren't showing. Okay.
Nope.
Oh, his slides aren't showing. That's hilarious. He can't have a conversation with somebody without his slides. Somebody that's critical of him anyway. He has to have his slides, and it's always lies.
Yeah, it looks like we're not the only ones who are having technical problems.
Man, what a blessing. He does our Science Center tours.
I think a great job. Good. I see it clearly on my computer. I can see the stream on my phone. I think we're solid. You can hear me clear?
Yeah.
All right, good deal.
All right. Well, I don't know if you heard earlier, I was talking to the audience for a few minutes, but Mark Stoney is going to be responding to some of the stuff that's going to be said here from a different YouTube channel. You're familiar with the AJ Junior or something?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to be debating Atheist Junior here in another couple of weeks. And I did once, I think, pretty embarrassed him pretty bad. So he's pretty desperate to try to get his manhood back, I think. I'll take him on anytime, every day.
This is about me. You titled
there we go.
The video.
All right, should I start?
Stoney, so
I can see your screen. It's coming through quite clear. Very good. Go ahead.
All right, sounds good. God called Nehemiah to build a wall around Jerusalem. I did a study on the book of Nehemiah a couple of years ago.
What does that have to do with anything?
Nehemiah focused all his attention on building the wall.
All right.
And the enemy is trying to stop him many different ways. We see the same thing happening. We're trying to build a Christian ministry.
Wait till he gets to the point and talk about some stuff.
Sure.
Because this is all hogwash. Like, he's trying to relate himself to the Bible and his situation to the Bible. Like, that's called eisegesis, is what it's called. He's inserting his own experiences, his own opinions, his own misconceptions about Scripture, and he uses it as a weapon against people. See, look, he's Nehemiah 4, and he does this to it. It's what's the word? Cindy brought up the word. She told me about it yesterday in her counseling session with Kent. It was obfuscating. That's what it is. I think I had a hard time saying that word the last time we had an interview, but that's what he's doing right now. He's still obfuscating. Like, this has nothing to do with Kent Hovind versus Mark Stoney. We're not in the Bible. God didn't write the Bible about us. This was to Israel, about Israel rebuilding the second temple after their captivity in Babylon. You can read about it in the prophets of Ezekiel, Jeremiah, Daniel, Isaiah, all about it. This has nothing to do with Kent Hovind. Nothing. Those scriptures were for Israel. And I think I shared with you, I don't know if I did, AJ, but I wrote an essay recently on what I'm calling covenant eschatology. And eschatology is, basically the study of the end times. Like, God says he knows the end from the beginning. So we try to understand what that means through the scripture. And when you eisegete the scripture, and in Kent's case, it's called narcigesis, because he is literally making it all about him. All right, he's going back to me. Let's go back to Kent.
Veiled threat.
And maybe rewind it just a little bit.
I'd rather just build what we're doing here and have him leave me alone.
See what he's
Some of the ex-helpers, like Mark, are doing similar things to try to stop us from building our ministry. They start evil rumors that we're breaking the law or harboring pedophiles.
It's not evil. It's true.
They talk about using legal action, trying to discourage our workers, and even hint at physical violence. Like in the letter, Mark was talking back and forth to Brady's son. He said, I know where he lives.
Yeah, I sure
veiled
do.
threat.
Kent,
Yeah, okay.
Brady
So
lives in a ketchup factory in Texas. Yeah. And last I heard, he was living at DAL and got kicked out because of his pedophilia issues. I don't know how we can say those kind of things on YouTube. I don't want to get your channel struck down, so I'll try to keep that to a minimum.
Yeah, I like the implication that Kent doesn't constantly use violent language when he's talking about.
Dude, all right, so not
other people.
long. Yeah. So not long after I left and started saying stuff about Kent, he posted these pictures of an AR-15, which you see my background. I'm armed. Okay, I believe in the Second Amendment. I'm a military vet. I served in combat in Iraq. I get to own guns. Kent doesn't. So he can make all his silly threats and say that I'm making violent threats. This is not a threat. Kent literally put a photo of a rifle, an AR-15, threatening to come after me because of what I was saying. And I was just saying the truth. I was saying what I experienced. And none of it is untrue. I was there for 2 years. So, yeah. Kent's just...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. Let me know if you want me to pause it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Spending their time trying to tear down. What are they building for the Lord? All their effort goes to tearing down. Guys, build something, okay?
We can get
I don't
into
believe
that
God has called any
later.
Christian to spend their life trying to tear down a Christian ministry. Go move next door and build a better one. 76% of Mark's videos on his channel are about me. He is eaten up with destroying Kent Hovind somehow. Mark, knock it off. What are you doing?
Can I make that one up too?
There it is, the cult of Kent Hovind.
Oh, you should watch that.
Mark was here for, I don't know, a year or so, and we fed him and housed him and took care of him really well. Now he did one, the cowardly Kent, the lying gent.
Yeah.
Mark Stoney came to DAL with his daughter, Mackenzie, under the guise of seeking refuge from her parents, his parents,
That was not at all
who
the
had,
case.
he said, were bigots and had kidnapped his daughter. Mark.
Now,
when did I say that? I never said that. Go ahead.
Okay.
Had me and my whole staff here buffaloed about his strong Christian convictions. But there was never a peep about his former affiliation with the Aryan nation and the white supremacy leaning.
Oh, I can address that.
We all cited.
One of my battle buddies in Iraq, when he came back, he became a bodyguard for Richard Spencer, I think it was. And he was trying to recruit me into it. And, you know, I took a look at some of the material, but I never was affiliated with him other than one of my battle buddies who was in Iraq with me went that way. And I mean, we've communicated since. It's been a decade since we've spoken, but I spoke to him earlier this year, and he has since separated from all of that. He's no longer affiliated with Richard Spencer. He's no longer affiliated with the alt-right. Neither am I. I'm a Christian libertarian. That alt-right stuff is not for me. I mean, yeah, I was friends with the guy, and yes, he was a bodyguard for Richard Spencer. So that's just my affiliation with that. Kent can paint it any way he wants to, but he doesn't know anything about that. So go ahead.
Yeah, and real quick, I just want to say that this is projection because Kent Hovind has promoted a book, has also sold a book called Fourth Reich of the Rich and the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, which is a book blaming all the world's problems on a Jewish conspiracy. And
so it's Mein Kampf.
Those books are notoriously white supremacist books. And Kent has said so many times, oh, I've got the blonde hair and blue eyes, and I was a master race.
I know.
He says Hitler thought Norwegians were the master race. That's not true.
Right.
Hitler thought Aryans were the master race,
exactly.
which is all of which is several different European countries. But he lies and says that it was specifically Norwegians who had blonde hair and blue eyes.
It's bogus. Like I'm a history buff. I love reading about history, not because I'm like a masochist or anything like that, but I enjoy knowing what happened in the past. That way I can, history repeats itself over and over. Look all throughout history. It's the same story, just wrapped up in a different package. Especially in scripture, if you read it in its proper context, it's a story of law, breaking the law, justice, redemption. That's the story all throughout scripture. That's been the story throughout human history. it's just what it is. So Kent can go on there and spew his ignorance on the matter all he wants, but I mean, come on, what has he really read? All those books in his library? Like, he doesn't know what's in them. He just has them. Claims he read them all. Yeah, right. Anyway, go ahead. Let's see what he has to say.
With him over his parents. I understand that Mark's parents were trying to rescue their granddaughter from their very evil son, okay? So Mark presented himself as the greatest man you'd ever want to know, and he and his daughter plan to live here permanently. I wrote my thoughts out here so I get it all. Don't forget anything, okay? Everything was fine until I wouldn't let Mark dictate who is and is not allowed to DAL property. This is the
Chris
issue.
Jones.
These guys work fed, but they say, I don't think Chris Jones ought to come. Okay, thank you. I heard your opinion. I think he should.
I told Kent
get mad.
6 months
Go start
prior,
your own camp and don't let him come to your
I
camp.
can't comment that if Chris came back, I'd leave. Made it very clear.
Right. And it's not just your opinion. It's your opinion weighted by the fact that you had your daughter there. And it's an opinion that was shared by other families there that had children there, some of whom left because of this issue or did not come to DAL because of this issue. And Kent can say, oh, well, I run the ministry and, you know, I think he should stay, so he's going to stay. And I'll say this really quickly, but I was talking to Cindy about this because I listened to that audio that you sent me where Chris was talking. They were discussing this whole issue. And I told Cindy that obviously, you know, it's weird for me to say this, but if I were in his position, not that I ever would be in Chris Jones' position, but if I were in that position and I even knew that people were uncomfortable with my presence there, I would say, I don't want to be here then because I don't want to cause problems. I don't want to make waves. I would volunteer to not come. But, you know, Kent was insisting that he stay. And Chris, at no point did he say, well, maybe I shouldn't, you know, because I'm making people uncomfortable. You know, that's the normal reaction, I think, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Telling us how to run this one.
Yeah.
Simple. Okay. He threw a tantrum and moved away and then aimed all his hatred that he used to spew toward his parents against me. Poor innocent Mark had to flee the dangerous cult of Kent Hovind, where pedophiles lurk at every turn. That is absolutely not true, okay? Okay. All this silliness about Zaire missing was started by Mark Stoney, simply because he was never seen this boy. He's never seen the boy again. Does that make him missing?
Has.
Where's the evidence that he's missing?
Where's the evidence that he's not?
What that you're ignoring the fact of why would Chris Jones have this young boy with him in the first place?
Exactly.
That's bizarre.
The same age as the children that he was convicted of lewd and lascivious acts back in, what was it, 2004, 2008? I don't remember. But, I mean, that's the problem. A young boy traveling with a pedophile who was convicted of diddling young boys. And, I mean, Zaire's a little black kid. Chris is as white as Kent. This is not any relation to Chris. And right. I don't think he even claims. He's the caregiver, I think is what Kent's painting him as, or what Chris is saying. I don't know. Father figure, right. Yeah, and you know, I was listening to Miss Parker's stream the other day, and are you familiar with her?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, she was saying she was a victim of child abuse, sexual abuse when she was a child, and she's very out and open about it. And she's just now digging into Kent Hovind and seeing, like, she had an actual anxiety attack of PTSD because of the way that Kent handles this situation with Chris Jones, because all her relatives, her friends, the clergy of the church, she's a former Christian, they didn't believe her. They brushed it under the rug. They said that this didn't happen. They did this character assassination ad hominem attack just like Kent's doing right now. And it's exactly how predators act. They cannot defend themselves with truth because the truth unveils their wickedness. So, I mean, that's my opinion on the matter. Kent's throwing straw mans. Kent is not addressing the issues. So go ahead.
Yeah. And it says, is Mark concerned about all the other kids who visited DAL but whom he has never seen again? The difference is, the distinction is that those kids were with their own families.
Right, right. And yeah, I do think about the kids, especially the family of Stephen Alexander, who died at Dinosaur Adventureland swimming in the lake, who was less than 100 yards from me. I mean, I could have saved that kid, but there was no policy or procedure or lifeguards. I was shooting pool with the kid's dad, and noticed that one of his sons was out pretty deep, and I looked at his dad. I said, "Hey, your son is struggling to swim out there," and he sprinted out to get that boy and got him to the shore. And as he was scolding his son for being so far out, he noticed that Stephen was missing, and then it just turned into chaos. We were running everywhere, and then he ran into the lake and tripped over his poor son's body. And I went and got Bethany. I went and told Cindy and Kent. I went and told the kid's mom, because she was up at the cabin. And Bethany got there within minutes. Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce his. He's Hmong. He's an awesome guy. I love Yia to death. His last name, Zong. I don't know. There's an X in there. But Yia was doing CPR, and then Bethany showed up, so she took over and was doing the CPR on that boy. And my daughter's there watching this, and I'm watching this, and everybody's there witnessing this. And Kent just strolls up and just kind of looks at what's going on and goes back to the house. And the boy we loaded him up into one of the side-by-sides, and Bethany was in the back still giving him CPR. And Kent is just nonchalantly, I mean, everybody was in panic mode except for Kent. He was just like, business as usual. We deal with this and move on. We got to build Dinosaur Adventureland.
Yeah.
And he lies when he said that he said something along the lines of the CPS people that we wouldn't talk to. I talked to him. My daughter talked to him. We told him exactly what happened. It was a freak accident. I mean, it should have been prevented. It wasn't prevented. But my goodness, that poor kid, that family, and Kent proudly says, the family was so happy with the place, they're willing to come back. And yeah, I'm sure that's true, but they don't see Kent the way he is. They visited him like twice. Yeah. And one time they lost a child there, and that's dead serious, and he treats it like it's nothing. And man,
and you are concerned with those other kids, and
oh my goodness, kids. Yeah, I've shed so many tears with those kids over that boy, Stephen.
But
I don't gather myself now, because I mean that could have been prevented.
Yeah,
there was just such a carefree, attitude, and in a certain regard, it was great because it gives you this freedom to express yourself. I mean, unless you go against Kent, of course, and just kind of decompress. Dinosaur Adventureland, like, it's out in the sticks, man. You can go out there and really get close to God, as long as you're not listening to Kent, because there's no distractions. There's no TV. They cut off the Wi-Fi, which, ironically enough, is the beginning of my issues with Steve. And I think Cindy would agree. There was this crazy ordeal about this thing called Netgear 11, and Kent and Steve are convincing everybody that this Netgear 11 was a bug planted by the Christian Scientists, or whatever they are, the Scientology people in Tampa, whatever they are. I don't know. But he had everybody searching for this bug, and Cindy was searching for this bug, and he was coming to the morning meeting saying, we got to find this as priority number one. And one evening after I don't want to call it a Bible study, his YouTube presentation, he doesn't study
his
the Bible.
Infomercial.
Right, there you go. His beggarly tactics to keep his donations coming. Like Cindy said, as long as he's still building, the donations keep rolling in. But anyway, back to the Netgear 11. I was walking from Kent's house. I was talking to Kent about something, and I saw Cindy in the shipping and receiving office, and she just seemed distraught. She was upset. And I go in there, I talk to Cindy. I said, Cindy, what's going on? And she says, I'm looking for this bug. Kent is just going nuts over this bug. There's hackers. Everybody's worried. I got to find it. I said, all right, look, I know what this is. It's a Wi-Fi router. It's sending out a Wi-Fi signal.
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah. So I said, listen, every Wi-Fi router ever has little blinky lights on it when it's working. So turn the lights off in the office. This is where the signal is strongest. And I'm looking around and I notice these lights blinking under the desk with this piece of plywood hastily screwed in. You know, it wasn't this, but it was hidden. And I pull the desk aside, and there's this Wi-Fi router. And I unplug it, I check my phone, Netgear 11's gone. This is it. And Cindy's like, are you sure? Are you sure? I was like, well, we can plug it back in and see if it begins broadcasting again. And it did. Netgear 11's back up. So I take the router to Kent's house, which from the office to Kent's house, it's maybe 200 or 300 feet. So I take the router to his house. I set it on his counter. I said, Kent, this is Netgear 11. I found it. This is the bug. And I set it on his counter, and he's like, we got to call the cops. Don't touch it. We need fingerprints. We got to deal with this now because these Christian scientists are after us. And Cindy calls the sheriff, and she's on the phone with the sheriff. Kent calls Steve, and Steve just goes into a panic. He goes into a rage. He starts saying that I've compromised the entire security of DAL because that was the wireless cameras, the wireless security cameras, which there were only 2 on the entire property. There were 2, and they were in the shipping and receiving office. And that's where Steve was keeping an eye on what was going on in the office. That's why Steve knew when the checks would come in, and that's why all the secretaries said Steve would come in and rifle through and take the checks. Julie is going to testify to that this evening. There's another secretary that doesn't want her name mentioned, and I'll respect that, but she's told me also that Steve would come in and take the checks, and he was doing that. That was his job. It used to be Rhonda's job. Now it's Steve's job. Steve's in charge of the finances. Well, later on, Steve, in a drug-fueled craze, goes and steals a truck and claims that there's FBI agents chasing him and all this. Steve, oh my goodness, I could go on forever. I tell you what, I got a lot to say, much more than this, but let's get back to Kent and see what that goofball is saying.
I talked to his mother a couple days after he was here. He's fine. Okay. Show me a milk carton or poster or something with his image saying he's missing. If Mark is concerned about all the other kids who visited DAL, but whom he's never seen again, are they all going to be reported as missing? All this nonsense about Zaire being raped and murdered and buried on DAL property is the creation of Mark Stoney.
Never did I claim he was
Chris
raped.
Brought Zaire here with prearranged permission from Paul Hansen, myself, and his mother. He came to be baptized and to dedicate his life to the Lord. That's why he came here.
So
why do you have to
gave him
pedophile?
This is a blatant lie. This first part, that's just a lie. You never said any of this happened. We said that it was inappropriate that he brought him there, and you were concerned about the circumstances of them being together and where and what happened when they were what happened the night that they slept in the same house, what happened then, and then where is Zaire now? Never did you say any of this other stuff in this first paragraph.
Never.
And what Chris brought him here with Kent's permission. The only person whose permission would matter would be the mother.
No, that wouldn't even matter. It wouldn't matter because he is a tier 3 registered pedophile. Him crossing state lines with a minor is he's going back to prison if this can be proved, which he did. He brought the boy to Dinosaur Adventureland. This is not a Kent approval, mom approval, Chris approval. This is illegal.
Yeah, none. You're right. None of these, there's no permission to be granted that makes this okay.
Actually, as a matter of fact, Chris, as a registered sex offender, is required to report his travels. He has to get a permission slip from not only his local sheriff, but also the sheriff of the county that he's visiting if he stays. Well, Alabama, it's 72 hours. South Carolina, it doesn't matter. But Chris and Kent claimed that they called the sheriff, approved all this, but no, they didn't. They're blatantly lying. And Freddie can testify to the fact that Kent lies about these kind of confirmations.
Yeah.
But, all right, go ahead.
Okay. Well, real quickly, I just wanted to say that we have 100 people watching.
Oh, wow. Hey, guys, how's it going?
I wanted to read the super chat from Dave Dallafiore for $5. Thank you, Dave. It says, "I've been away. Kent should be put away." So I agree.
Baptized Zaire in our lake. Okay. I talked to Zaire's mom over the phone after they returned home. She was extremely grateful and said Zaire had a great time. I invited her to bring the whole family down sometime. We'll feed them, house them, teach them about creation. She was genuinely excited about the invite. If Mark Stoney hadn't started these internet conspiracy theories about Zaire, maybe his whole family and all his brothers would be saved by now.
I want to address what he's talking about with Zaire's mom. Kent presented Zaire as a boy that came from an abusive home. His mother was an alcoholic, and that Chris was his nanny. And Chris was trying to bring him to Kent for Kent to bring him to the Lord. So he's inserting just a small amount of truth, but completely obliterating the rest of it with these falsehoods. But go ahead.
Yeah, and Kent invites literally everybody that he talks to come to DAL. So this is meaningless.
Okay, so he also told Joe. Joe asked him, who was the serial killer that Charles Manson. Joe asked Kent if Charles Manson came to the Pensacola Dinosaur Adventureland, and Kent would let him on, and he said absolutely. So I think that was in the documentary that Mitchell McKinnon, which that was an excellent documentary. If y'all haven't seen it, go check it out.
Yeah, definitely.
But Mark has ruined that for them. I got my slides. Let's see.
Slides. How about you talk to me?
I am so sorry.
How about you talk to me? You don't need slides.
You can take as much time as you need. That's what we do. I said that
everybody loves it here. Everybody loves it here.
He said it was absolutely beautiful and wonderful, and he loved being there and doing the daughter thing and all this.
All right, AJ, I've got about 45 minutes before I have to leave. I've got an appointment at the VA that I've got to keep, and I've got about 45 minutes. So let's let him talk, and if we have to come back later, I'm going to be going on Brett Keane's show later tonight too to address some of this. But let's let Kent go ahead and ramble on, and 45 minutes. So that's what I got.
Okay.
But he said that his problem started not with just the Chris Jones, but because he felt like Cindy was being disrespected. When do you feel it started? The problems between you both?
That goes back to the same issue. Who gets to decide? Who runs that? So do I get to decide how he raises his daughter?
Nope.
Does he get to decide how I disrespect Cindy? I didn't disrespect Cindy. That's a diversion. Let me finish my thought here. Basically, it boils down to
asked to do massages on Kent, which she was. He never asked me about it. I didn't find out about that till a year later. So, yeah, Kent's a liar.
He can't run it. He can't tell me what to do. Therefore, I'm mad. Okay, get mad, go away. All right. Mark Stoney, the former white supremacist, being concerned about the welfare of a black child is laughable. Mark would actually be ecstatic if something did happen to the child, just so it would bring down my ministry. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing. He masquerades as a born-again Christian while manipulating the flock to his own sinister agenda. He is demented, a dangerous man. We all need to pray that Mackenzie is saved before she...
That's not how you spell Mackenzie. Just wanted to say that.
Oh, my goodness. Go ahead.
Right?
She is indoctrinated with the same hatred. Mark is a Calvinist, okay? Dangerous doctrine, in my humble opinion. One of our board members, Ernie, personally talked to me this morning. I said, Ernie, what do you remember about Mark? He said, well, I personally donated several $1,000s. I wrote him a check to Mark to minister to disabled vets. Mark said he's a disabled vet. He said, I want to minister to
He gave it to help me move. I started a GoFundMe. You can go check it out. It's still there. I can give a link to you later. But I started a GoFundMe to fund the move from Alabama to Washington. And it wasn't just me. It was a friend of mine and his family too. So we both went in together on this. And the GoFundMe that Ernie donated to privately, not on the GoFundMe, but it was in response to that because he said, I saw your GoFundMe and I want to donate. I can pull that text up. Kent's lying. Yes, I had plans to start a ministry, but COVID had shut the building down, and the guy that was actually in charge of it got sick, ended up getting divorced, and has since moved. So my connections for that ministry fell apart. But to say that I'm not ministering to anybody, like, at all, it doesn't have to be to disabled vets. I minister to the gas station clerks across the street. I mean, it's who I am. It's what I do. You know, I'm going to give the gospel. I'm going to stand for it. I got this tattoo on my chest right here. That's a Jerusalem cross, which is a symbol of, you know, the defenders of the gospel. Which, yes, I know it's a Crusaders emblem, but being a defender of the gospel is my apologetic. So Kent going around saying that I am swindling him out of money to do this ministry, he's wrong, because I still minister to everybody I come across, every opportunity I have. I mean, you too, AJ. Every time we've spoken, I've done the very best I can to encourage you and build you up. You know, as long as we can focus on the truth and the matters at hand. I know there's some things that we disagree on, but you know, we can set that aside and have a civil conversation. You know, normal people can do that. And obviously Kent Hovind, by virtue of him doing a live stream that I'm not allowed on, directly addressing me or accusing me, it's so obvious what's happening here. But
and he complains about, oh, people have to go to the Atheist channel. Well, if you're not going to give them a platform otherwise, then, but okay, I think Kent is looking at this the wrong way. So people, I have about 35 people that support me on Patreon. Some of them are in the chat, so I appreciate that so much. And their support allows me to have some financial comfort to where I can spend more time making my videos rather than, say, like working at McDonald's. And so that money helps me do what I want to do. So just living my life makes it so I can do what I want to do and make videos. That donation made it to where you could move to where you needed to go and minister to people. So if you're being put in a situation where you needed help moving and the place closed down, but you're still able to communicate with people, that's still donating to help you minister to disabled veterans or minister to people.
And I go to the VA and I'm around veterans all the time. There is no facility that we meet, but there's groups that we go into, and I never compromise on the gospel. I stand firm on it. I stand firm on the blood of Christ. And that's the only hope. And in my worldview, that is the only hope. And that's what I stand on. Kent goes into all this other stuff, all these other issues that are so irrelevant to the gospel. And he perverts it and twists it and uses it as a weapon against vulnerable people. And I think anybody that's been paying attention more than 5 minutes can see that.
Yeah. But did you see what I was saying there? Like, did that make sense to you? How the Okay. So we have another super chat for $5 from Dave Dallafjord. He's one of my patrons. It says, "Here's $5 Kent will never see."
Thanks, Dave. That's awesome.
Thank you, Dave.
Disabled vet. Ernie said, "Me too. I have a burden for them." He wrote a check to Mark for several $1,000s. Okay. Mark cashed the check at Ernie's bank while they both sat in the car. A few weeks later, Mark took a picture of the cash and said Ernie gave it to him for hush money.
No, I
Mark,
never took
you liar.
I took a picture
That's
of the
evil
check.
for you to do that. You never did use the funds.
I ask you something about just a couple of minutes ago. I could have swore I heard the word white supremacist. Now you went on to this other stuff, but just for a moment, can we focus on that? What is this about white supremacy? Are you saying that he was like a skinhead or something? What is that?
Well, he had and didn't mask it very much, but he had leanings toward the white supremacy movement. The black people are inferior, the whites are superior.
Never.
That's
Ever.
KKK kind of stuff.
I said that.
Okay.
Ooh.
Wow. This guy's Kent's getting a lawsuit. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that, and I hope you people are recording this. And you people, I'm white supremacist. Oh my goodness, that's a laugh. All right, Kent, you're getting sued, brother. This is defamation of character. This is slander. You're literally typing it slander and libel. So, buddy, you better watch out.
That's rough.
Anyway,
Continue.
So not going to back up what he said at all.
No,
Just that
no.
You have leanings. You can't have a leaning that Black people are inferior. It's kind of like you either believe that or you don't believe it, you know?
My best friend is a Jew, like literally Hebrew
Yeah.
blood. So if I'm a white supremacist, I'm a really bad one.
It's ridiculous.
this
Yeah.
guy wrote me and said, Brother Hovind, Mark Stoney fought for our flag and country and what it stands for, but he doesn't seem to apply the standards in judging others. He and Cindy and others are acting as judge and jury over everyone they talk about. You,
No,
Brady,
that's not
Freddie,
true.
and others. Brady's never been found guilty of being a pedophile in any court. And even if the accusation is true, it was 30 years ago.
Freddie? I'm unaware of this. I didn't know Freddie was accused as well.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that.
News.
Even if the accusation is true, it was 30 years ago. How
Who
does
cares?
that make? But that's a kind of alarming in its own right,
Right.
because he said similar things about Chris. The amount of time that's passed doesn't matter.
Completely irrelevant.
It's just ridiculous.
And it's none of these accusers' business. Let the law handle it, okay? It's not their business. I think Mark needs to get a taste of his own medicine, so I had this thought, and I thought this was cute. This is what they wrote.
Excited about this.
Mark Stoney was kicked out of the military for having mental issues. That's true. His mother, Lois Stoney, in Birmingham,
Check this
took
out.
his daughter.
This is my DD-214, and if you'll look right here, can you see that?
Yeah,
Right where my finger is? What does that say? Oh, there you go.
it says honorable.
Honorable. Character of service at discharge. Honorable. Kent, you're lying. Go ahead.
Okay, we have another super chat from Dave for $5. It says, "Doesn't B17 cure pedos?" I don't know. I haven't heard Kent make that claim.
Yeah, give them some apricot seeds. They'll be fine.
Yeah, I would love for Kent to address why. What's the name of his vitamin guy? Died.
Bill Sardi.
Bill Sardi. Bill Sardi. Kent, why did Bill Sardi die? Why was he put on a ventilator and died a few
Exactly.
days later?
And not just that. Look into Ernie and Steve's business. Their supplement. They claim can add years to your life. If you go to the site, I haven't been there in a while, so I don't even know if it's still up. But it's nuxtrax.com. Nuxtrax.com. I think it's supposed to say new extracts, but you'll see this total hogwash of unscientific, not medical jargon that Steve came up with, promoting this product that Ernie makes in his basement that has been proven to be similar to some of the well, I'm not going to go that route because I don't have the documentation to directly connect his product with the products that have been tested that have literal urine in them, but I suspect it's something along those lines. Now, you can look it up. These are like already tried cases of these bogus supplements. There's actually a big market for them. Apparently, you've got senior citizens in nursing homes that are on the doorstep of death, and they're like, "How can I make this last longer? I don't want to die." Oh, this says I can add 20 years to my life. Bingo bango! They just spent $100 on Ernie's piss. No, that's not. I'm not saying that is true. I'm just pissed off myself.
So
let me go get some water real quick because I've been talking a lot and I need water. I'll be right back. Enjoy my fat cat.
Daughter away from him and even drove her car over Mark, ran him over. They did not prosecute her. She filed 3 domestic cases in 3 separate courts to keep him from having his daughter. It took a year of brilliant legal work from Brady Byram. Brady helped Mark get his daughter back, and now Mark has turned against Brady. You hypocrite. Anyway.
I like how Mackenzie is now spelled differently.
Help Mark get his daughter back. Mark's dad was also against Mark getting his daughter back. His own mother accused him of having PTSD, being a psycho and a danger to himself and others with all his guns, okay? Mark's wife OD'd on heroin and died. Mark has been gone from DAL for about 2 years.
What the? So I was...
my ex-wife, Mackenzie's mother, She did die. She passed away in the summer of 2020.
What is the relevance of this?
Nothing. It's all slander. It's all a character assassination. And I was diagnosed with PTSD. I've been through 10 years of a decade of therapy and counseling and medication, and I'm perfectly managed. There was never an issue with me at Dinosaur Adventureland. If he's gonna say that I'm crazy and had PTSD issues and episodes while I was there, he's gonna have to come up with some kind of evidence, some kind of reprimand that he's given me, and it doesn't exist because nothing like that has ever happened. As a matter of fact, Kent wanted me to go investigate things that would happen on the other side of the property. That's why he had me building a cabin out there so I could be out there with my firearms safely securing the back of the property. So if he entrusted me with that, not only did he entrust me with that, I was brought on as a trustee. Paul Hansen, Kent, and Glenn Stoll, and one other guy, his name escapes my memory, Tom Dennison, were on this trust. And this was the original trust that Glenn Stoll set up back in, I think it was the early 90s in Pensacola. And Paul used that trust to sue the government because Paul could not represent Kent. He can represent a trust. He can't represent Kent. Well, I destroyed that trust. I got into contact with all the people. I talked to Tom Dennison and told him what was going on, and he resigned. And then I got in touch with Glenn Stoll's probation officer and told her what was going on. And the last I heard, Glenn Stoll was being tried for violating his probation because he's up to the same shenanigans. And his brainchild trust, the CSE for Pensacola Dinosaur Adventureland, was until Paul Hansen's case was dismissed, it was being used. So this has so many tentacles to it, and this is why Kent is attacking me. This is why Kent wants to assassinate my character, because I know these things, and he knows I know these things. He knows that I know he's lying when he goes on and says I was kicked out of the military. He knows he's lying, and he knows I know it. And
yeah,
not only that, he says I was kicked out of Dinosaur Adventureland. The man begged me to stay.
Yeah,
begged me. Everybody there wanted me to stay because everybody there loved me. I'm a pretty easy to get along with guy. I'm that's me. Always have been.
Yeah, I could testify to that. Every interaction that we've had has been, like this, pretty, chill and reasonable. But really quick, I wanted to point this out. So Kent says Mark has been diagnosed with PTSD.
True.
Okay, what's the implication of that? Is that a bad thing? Are you saying that's his fault?
15% of police officers on the force nationwide have reported, and this is an actual statistic, unlike Kent's made up on the fly statistics. They have reported 15% of the police force has reported diagnosed PTSD, yet they're still allowed to do their jobs. So it's not that PTSD is just this one thing. It's like a whole spectrum. It affects people differently. Everybody's different, and they handle things differently. And those who cope well are the ones that have said, okay, I need help with this. And I've been there. I've done that. That was a decade ago. And I've been consistently improving my life ever since. I made a big goof up going to Dinosaur Adventureland, but I've been rebuilding relationships with my friends, my family. I spoke with my mom just yesterday, and I'm doing my own thing. I'm no longer with Kent, but I'm not going to shut up and be quiet just because they gave me all this money and now they're assassinating my character with blatant lies. So I'm going to stand for the truth. That's what I'm here for. I'm not here to tear Kent down. At this point, I'm defending myself and just telling you guys what the truth is. So,
yeah. So the rest of what this slide says is so nasty. I almost don't even want to show it. But
yeah,
I think that I know your time is limited. So
yeah, I got about 30 minutes.
Do you want to show any more of what Kent is saying, or do Do you want to just maybe
their
make some
stream
wrap-up comments?
Yeah, their stream has ended as of now. This is your show. I'm a guest, so
okay,
do what you want with it.
Okay, because the rest of what Kent's slide says is really gross, and it's talking about somebody who's a minor, and I would rather not even broach that topic because Kent is saying this gross stuff to get a reaction, and
and he's probably gonna end up getting flagged on his YouTube for this.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
It's not even his YouTube; it's Brett's, and I feel bad for Brett because Kent's gonna get his YouTube. He's putting his YouTube channel in a vulnerable position.
Well, I will say that me and Brett Keane have had our disagreements, but the last video where Kent came on, I have to give Brett Keane a lot of credit because he really, I thought, in my opinion, he held Kent to task for some of the questions he asked him. When it came to the stuff with Zaire, he asked Kent repeatedly, even though Kent was saying, let's move on to the next topic. And one thing I really liked was he said, so you claim that Cindy has a bipolar disorder. If that's true, then
I'm not a doctor.
Doesn't that mean that she is not to blame for what she's done if she's had these outbursts? And it's not in her control. And then all of a sudden he's like, well, I'm not a doctor and I can't diagnose that. You can't walk that back now, Kent.
No,
he's like, well, other people have said that she was bipolar. No, you've said it repeatedly, Kent, and it's inappropriate to diagnose somebody with that because I had a family member who had bipolar disorder and it tore my family apart, so I know what that's like. And it's offensive to just diagnose somebody with that just because they got angry at you because you were mistreating them. That's not bipolar.
Not at all. That's human nature.
Yeah.
You're going to defend yourself against lies. I mean, anybody's going to do that. I know exactly where Cindy's coming from. I mean, I don't want to really bring my ex-wife into this, but she had some diagnosed personality disorders, and man, I tell you what, she sure could get a rise out of me. She knew how to push my buttons. And I totally can empathize with Cindy with her screaming and cussing in the audio recordings because Kent is torturing her psychologically, torturing her mentally, and then ultimately slamming her to the ground physically. I mean, he's a predator, he's an abuser. And I mean, if anybody sees him in a different light than that, they're only taking his word, which it's all garbage, all of it.
Yeah,
he knows the Bible, but he doesn't understand it. He uses it as a weapon against people to get them to bend to his way of doing things.
Yeah. So really quickly, I wanted to say that I know that Kent's domestic assault trial is still ongoing, but I just wanted to address this comment that he said that I was holding my phone in my hand, so I couldn't slam somebody with that hand. I can hold my phone and still have most of my hand free, and I'm a 5'11" man. I could use the force of my arm with that much of my hand to push somebody who's smaller than me down.
Right.
Just because you're holding a phone doesn't mean that you couldn't do that. So I just wanted to say that real quick.
Yeah.
We have one more super chat from Dave Dalfjord. Thank you, Dave. It says the only thing funnier than Kent is Sloan Kettering's waiting room.
I don't have any context to that.
I think it's saying that Kent isn't very funny.
No, he's not. He thinks he is. He thinks he's the funniest thing alive.
Yeah, that's why he uses the same jokes over and over again, because he's convinced that they're rock solid. But we're coming up on about 50 minutes, and is there anything that you wanted to say before I guess we sort of wrap things up?
Okay. I got a lot to say, and I could go on, but
sure.
We're up against the time constraint, so if you want to have me back on later to address any questions your audience might have, I'd be happy to. And I got nothing to hide. Yeah, I've got a colored past. That's true. I was affiliated with somebody, not even affiliated. He was my battle buddy in Iraq. Like, I didn't have a choice in that, and we were friends there. He went a different path than I went. I tried to understand his path and chose a different one. So, I mean, call me a white supremacist if you want, but I'm not, never have been.
Yeah, and he asked you to do something that was affiliated with Richard Spencer, and you said no.
Yeah, I didn't want any part of it, because
And I did the same thing, sort of, because
I'm not racist.
you know, I was going to do a debate that was on Modern Day Debate and my debate partner said, I don't want to do this because this channel has brought Richard Spencer on. And I said, okay, well, you're my debate partner. I'm going to go with your decision. So I'm not going to participate either, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Look, how many racist white supremacists do you know have where is it, this Hebrew script tattooed on their body?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
That wouldn't
insane.
that wouldn't look good at the KKK meetings.
Right, that'd be lynched. Call me a Jew.
Boy. But well, I if you guys have any questions for Mark, you can post them in the comment section, and then maybe you can come back and then just type out answers for people. I think that'll be easier.
Yeah,
but I'm glad we did this.
And for anybody that wants to know, the time constraint, I'm going to the VA because I regularly see my doctor like somebody with PTSD, somebody with depression, somebody with anxiety would do. I'm taking care of that. And man, I'm doing fine. I've got a lot going on. My daughter's doing great. Mackenzie is flourishing in school. And I've got some other things in the works too that are really going to be behind the scenes for a while, but in the next couple of years, I hope it's going to be big. So we'll see about that. Anyway, if you guys are listening to Kent and not listening to anybody else, you're an idiot. No offense, but that's basically what it is. You see how Kent won't let me come on his channel or talk to me live. He won't. I mean, he has no reason to. There's no restraining order against me. He just knows he's lying, and he knows that I know, and he knows I'm going to call him out on it, which, I mean, I've been doing that today. So anyway, I'll let you go. Thanks for everybody tuning in. If you guys want to check out my channel, I don't have a lot on there. I'm not really a YouTuber, but I've done some stuff exposing Kent, and there's some, gaming stuff on there too. So
yeah, I'll put the links for your stuff in the pinned comment.
So yeah, don't expect to be entertained. I'm not very good at YouTube.
I've seen some of the videos, and I thought they were pretty good. The Cult of Kent Hovind stuff. So
I put a lot of time into those. I'd never done anything like that. So
well, that's how I got started, So
yeah. All right. Well, it's been good chatting. I'll see you later.
Okay, I'll see you guys in the next video. We're signing off.